In this game, Maxim took white and Baptiste took black. This is not a common way. The most common way to play is like this. But if you are afraid, because there are many difficult josekis, complicated josekis after this move, and many, then you can also play from the other side like this, and the result is also fine. So actually, I don't know. I prefer this move, but I'm not sure which is better. So this is considered a bit better for white, but it's not a big difference, obviously. Like this, white gets very strong on the outside, so white is happy. And then we get another joseki here. White goes up, which is not recommended without black's exchange. Now this going up is a famous flying dagger joseki. However, without that exchange, white should usually block and then play his Moyo game. Why not? But Maxim felt like going into a complicated variation, then black cuts from this side, and this is a very, very important thing, because I see sometimes people cutting from this side. But this move is fine when you have the exchange. If you don't have the exchange, then actually you don't really have a good continuation. You go this one, but then your opponent can surprise you with such a move. And in that joseki, if you have this exchange, you would go for a ladder. But now, or wait. Now the ladder, now it's not possible for black to threaten it. White can play from the other side. But in fact, the ladder doesn't even work. So maybe this is why white chose this variation, because he hoped that black goes into this variation and the ladder doesn't work at all, and he's able to capture black's corner. But black played from the other side, and this is correct if you don't have this exchange, or if the ladder doesn't work, So black plays from the other side, but now this ladder worked for white, and white should capture this stone in a ladder. This is very, very valuable, and later just capture it. This result is considered better for white. White connected, alright. And what is recommended now? Okay, for now the ladder works for white, so we need to counteract it. So, or maybe not, because we can go through. Or, not sure. Okay, probably since the ladder works for white, it's better for black to extend. What white does in this joseki usually is this jump. And after this jump, it's important for black to remember about this exchange. It will help later. In the game, however, we see a hane, and now even more, black should play this exchange. It looks maybe unreasonable. Why would we make a center exchange? But we will see in a moment the reason. White is going to answer. If white doesn't answer, then what sense it made to play at e2, taking away black's space? So white is going to answer, and what happens then? Black has this tesuji of cutting. White for sure needs to play this, otherwise white's hane makes no sense. And then white is in trouble. In the game, black just played this move. Okay, yes, I see. And it looks similar. How is this fight? White connects, black plays hane, and white doesn't have too many liberties. White cannot yet fight with the corner group because this is a... Basically this ko is too large and black has local threats, so black can even let himself answer the bigger threats of the opponent. Yes, black can play even this one, and so on. So this is not good for white. Instead, white needs to play a clamp and try to fight in this fashion. However, here white can play the net, but white is going to lose by 1 liberty. However, it's some compensation. Still, I prefer black, but it's some form of a compensation. I wouldn't recommend playing the net right away, because then black can go through. And this capture doesn't work, of course. So white indeed needs to make this unfortunate exchange, and then here. However, now let's remember about that Atari which I recommended to exchange. If the Atari was exchanged, then now while black would have a possibility of going out. But now it's too late, because now the Atari is obviously not centered. So that's why you should exchange that Atari before. Anyway, this all looks bad for white, because white loses that group even though white gets some compensation. The compensation is not enough. What to do instead then? White's Hane is not considered a Joseki. The Joseki is here, after which black plays this one, a shape move, and white continues here, which usually continues with black's Tsuji around here. If white connects, it's a good exchange for black. Black can play elsewhere. Later, white is not able to kill black's group. Was the exchange not made, locally it would have been possible to capture black. So what black tries to make this exchange, but instead white plays here, and now black can squeeze white, and we go back to a similar shape as we have seen. Very important to note that black cannot descend hoping to squeeze white more, because white will not get tricked and white will finish in center. So it goes like this, and then very similar to what we saw in the game, but we have the 1-2 exchange, the additional exchange, which makes it much easier for white. White plays here, 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 there, and with this one, basically now black will very much be sad that he forgot to make the very important exchange. So if white plays this jump, you should also remember to make the exchange before going into the fight. In the game, however, we saw a Hane of white, which is not the correct order of moves, and then the fight is just difficult for white. White plays this one. Why does white do it? So white hopes to create a ladder breaker so that later this clamp works. Actually, I forgot to say that here black can simply capture white in a ladder. But even if the ladder doesn't work for black, still it's all right sequence for black to give white, let white sacrifice the stones. So black didn't want and played here, and then white could get an advantage in the top right. I think this was not a good idea by black, because if he answers, the ladder still works. Now the ladder works. The ladder is going to go like this. Here are white stones, so of course white loses. Even if white makes... Yeah, it's black, 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 black. Sorry, I drew it incorrectly. It's like this. It's like this, yes, of course. But white loses because the ladder is going to go this way. And even if white continues like that, the ladder works. And alright, if white exchanges this one, then the ladder stops to work. However, white doesn't have a good order of playing these moves. This is a question which many players forgot to think about. That if white plays these exchanges now, then this is a very big loss by itself, and later certainly black can accept that variation with the sacrifice, because black already gained really a lot in the top right. And if instead white starts from these exchanges, then later it's very easy for black to not answer to this move, because white already invested so much on the bottom side. So there is no good order of playing these two sequences. Like this, of course, black takes an advantage on the bottom side, but still there is some agi left. And for now, white can take control over the top side, top right. This exchange is not needed. Anyway, black needs to make life, and then AB exchange is really much not A plus for black. And we shouldn't be afraid that white captures, because then we simply finish in center. So it's the same as if white played here and then captured. So no. White will play here and then white will play elsewhere, of course, or maybe this one. But then, of course, we are not going to play here. But this is what happened in the game, because black played an exchange, which was not needed, and then white gets a better shape. Since there is an agi of these 3 stones, it makes sense to capture them, or maybe play a move on a larger scale to take control over them. And I think that I would like this large knight's move and later some cosmic style go. In the game, black plays this one, white plays this one, and black is able to utilize the agi and then continues that way. And white played this, but no, white should fight. White should fight, because the game is not good for white, but this fight also doesn't look bad for white. So white really shouldn't be afraid of this fight. And if black plays Hane, white plays here. It's much more powerful than playing like that. So this was unfortunately a mistake. If it went like this, actually white really gets a nice compensation for what white lost on the bottom, so the game is certainly still worth playing. But in the game, white went down very quickly. For now, white answered, and then white was afraid that if he chooses to split the board, then he might have not enough, though I am not sure of that assessment. Well, it's not super easy to protect all that territory, but yeah, let's try to estimate. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 63, 75, 75, maybe 80 plus Komi. So white has maybe 85, and then black has 10, 26, let's say 32, 42, 52, 6, 62, 6, 75, 80, 9, 100. Okay, black is indeed better now. Even black has center to play on that side. So indeed, white needs to destroy black's area, but still needs to keep a lot from his area. This is probably impossible. So the game is indeed bad for white, but for now, let's complicate it. We still remember about the agi in black's shape. So white tried to complicate it, but then white made a very bad mistake. White needs to play here, but instead, white played a move which created a lot of agi in his own shape. Now white is forced to play this one, but then black breaks through and connects. That's terrible for white. Actually, there is still a killing move. So instead, white played a bit differently, but then still lost the group in a quite obvious manner. This should be an easy capturing race to read. Black can play like this and wins by 1 liberty. Instead, black played another move which let white still have a hope with this call, but this hope was very short-lived because, yeah, there were no threats. Maybe white might threaten. No, there are no threats. This is also completely not a threat. So, yeah, white died with the group and then resigned the game. Yeah, so that's very unfortunate how quickly the game finished. It really shouldn't finish this quickly. White can play here and then still complicate. Still maybe look at the cutting point in black's shape around here. Basically try to make it not so obvious for the opponent. Then maybe still there is some hope. but it also shows that in fact the result on the bottom side is way too good for black. Even though white gained quite a nice compensation in the top right, it's way not enough. Alright, that's it about this game. Let's move to the next one. Actually, these are games from the 5th round, and we do this because in the 5th round all games were played, but in the 4th round not all. Yeah, so we finish with this game right now and move to the next one.